Bobby Wagner signs a 5-year, $50 million deal with the Los Angeles Rams. That's via Ian Rappaport, who will join us in the third hour today. $50 million contract that can be worth up to $65 million. After weeks of talking, Wagner lands back in the division as he wanted. Richard Sherman said yesterday, I believe, hey, look for some Wagner news to come. And he ruled out the Niners, and he ruled out the Chargers, yes. He was in L.A. He went and visited the Rams, and everybody's automatically assuming he's going to go to the Rams. But how will the Rams be able to afford Bobby Wagner? How will the Rams be able to have all the superstars that they have coming fresh out of a Super Bowl? And no, they haven't re-signed Odell Beckham Jr. yet, but he's got surgery. He's going to take his time. And I know that they lost Von Miller to Buffalo because he got a 6-year, $120 million deal, which is like a 3-year, $60 or $50 million deal, whatever the case. How are they going to be able to continue to build, continue to realign? But now they got Aaron Donald on the D-line alongside some other freak shows who are very, very talented. Then you got Bobby Wagner roaming at the linebacker position, and then Jalen Ramsey on the back end. Offense is still absolutely packed to the gills. That whole team's concept of we hate young NFL players, okay? Listen, if you're young, you might be great. We're pulling for you. We hope you make all the money in the world. You can cover a punt or two for us if you fucking need to, but we're going to make sure this core is a bunch of dudes. And Bobby Wagner fits their team perfectly. He'll be able to fly around. Good for the Rams, and I love when teams go all in, and this is another example of the Los Angeles Rams doing exactly what we had wished every other team would do.
Yeah, there's 31 other teams. Like, usually I'd take a shot at the Colts now, like, hey, you have so much cap space, but I mean, even the Patriots, it's like everybody should have probably had an offer in for Wagner, and also the Rams losing Von Miller almost helping them a little bit because they got Allen Robinson too.
Freed up some cap.
Yeah, freed up a little cap space, and they basically replaced him immediately, and, you know, Leonard Floyd's still on that defensive line, like you were saying. I mean, they're going to be unbelievable.
I saw the boy Will Compton. He cut a promo yesterday about the salary cap. And excuse, Will, you and me, I think he's been in the NFL 9 years. I don't know how many years he's been. Probably longer than me. I was in there for 8. Everything we were told was a lie, Will. Literally everything. Everything that every media person has told you for this entire time to kind of cover for NFL teams for not spending money has been a lie. Now, Tyreek Hill, I guess, debunks that. Devontae Adams, I guess, debunks that. But they could have scripted or set up those contracts to be long-term with kind of spread it out throughout there and be a $1 million, $2 million cap hit. That is what the LA Rams have done. That's what the Buccaneers have done. That's what the Chiefs were able to do before they had to lose Tyreek Hill. At some point, it'll catch up to them. And then when it does, by the way, they can just move the shell again. They can just kind of move the shell game and just kind of keep it going if they really wanted to. So I don't know if the salary cap is a complete myth, because there has been some cap casualties over the years. But with that being said, if a team wants a guy, they can make it happen, no questions asked. Just like old Bobby Wags goes to the Rams. Tone Diggs, this is a big piece. I mean, did we expect him to go to the Rams? And how did we expect him to get $50 million? I did not expect $50 million for Bobby Wagner. I might have been wrong there.
No, I didn't expect $50 million at all. And I don't know how it was reported. I don't know if it was reported in the way it should be reported, or if it was reported in the way that, you know, people like to sensationalize things.
So it was not a $50 million deal, you're saying. It says it's worth up to 65. It was worth 50. So I thought they were covering it how, you know, the Pulitzer Prize winning journalists here at the Pat McAfee Show, this program, do cover contracts.
It could have been. I'm not sure to be exact, but I think it was Nick and I maybe, when he became a free agent, we were talking about it, how these guys, like these really good guys, when this happens sometimes, and it feels like it happens a lot, they tend to stay in their division and they go to a club that they've respected and watched for years and years and years. And then that's where they want to go. That's where they tend to go. And I believe he's from LA too. But when you talk about like great defenses, and I was just thinking about this, like I grew up on Steelers and Ravens, stuff like that. Like the Steelers and Ravens always had a guy on the D-line, and that's Aaron Donald for them. And then they always had a guy at linebacker like Ray Lewis or James Ferry or something like that. So they got Bobby Wagner there. And then they had Ed Reed or Troy in the back. And then Rams have Jalen Ramsey. So like when great defenses are built, it seems like they have a guy at every level, and the Rams went out. They didn't have a guy, it seemed like, at linebacker, and they still won the championship Super Bowl last year. So it feels like now, like they could get back to where they were 2 years ago, like the number one defense in the league potentially.
Well, congrats to Bobby Wagner and the Rams.
There you go, Bob.
And congrats to every other team that's just got to sit back and watch Russell Wilson congratulate Bobby Wagner. You deserve it all, legend. As we always say, hey, what we always say, Don't get bored with consistency. Love you forever, bro. By the way, don't get bored with consistency is such a good life motto, especially if you're in a high-level job or whatever, because people get bored of doing the right thing and then they start cooking up their own shit, start adding it. The Rams still have this ability to pay everybody they possibly want. They still have this incredible ability to keep a team around. They lose Von Miller. Odell Beckham Jr. is going through rehab. Les Snead still doesn't have any picks and doesn't give a damn. I love what the Rams are doing. If you're Bobby Wagner, you got to be incredibly pumped because we think that's where he's from and they're a Super Bowl team. This is win-win-win, and he got paid. Good for Bobby Wagner, AJ.
Yeah, doesn't this feel like, okay, yeah, if Bobby Wagner's not in Seattle, this feels like the proper home for Bobby. Now, he's not like a flashy, crazy guy that's out there all the time. He's obviously he's the leader of that team. Wherever he is, like, guys, he commands respect, and he doesn't even have to speak a ton from what I hear. But I'm glad he got really, really good money, and I'm glad that he has a chance to win another ring because the dude's an absolute monster. I love him.
Russell Wilson said, hey, GOAT, hey, legend, hey, dude, clear eyes, full hearts, you can do great in L.A. Make sure you keep the main thing. That's God. A lot of devil walking around Los Angeles, especially on those streets where everybody's pooping. And then he said, always, as they always say, don't get bored with consistency. That's a powerful quote, I think. Honestly, I think that is a very powerful quote. And I think that's what separates the great from the good. Those who are able to do the monotonous, like boring things over and over and over and over again. And at the time, it might not pay off. But 5 years, 10 years, a moment will pop up where all that work that nobody has seen pays off. And it's consistent, it's boring, it's the little things. And the attention to detail is what makes the greats great. And I love that Russell Wilson talked to Bobby Wagner as if he's a similar person to Russell Wilson. Because although we haven't heard Bobby Wagner mic'd up anywhere near as much as we heard Russell, it sounds like he's a similar like human being. What a leader going into LA, and what a fucking stud, dude.
Yeah, he is. And consistency, like, I'm sure you've had it, Pat, where people will ask you, maybe it's a kicker or a punter, hey, what's like one or two things, like secrets you could tell me, or one or two tricks you could tell me. I've always, like, there are no tricks. When it comes to drops and stuff, like, there's specific things. But when they talk about, like, on, like, the grand scheme of things, I'm like, I don't know, man. There's no secret. There's no special pill. There's no special thing I can tell you other than whatever you're strong, like whatever you feel like you're good at, you need to make sure you maximize that and try to figure out whatever weaknesses you are. But just be consistent. Just be there. Let's just show up and do what you say you're going to do. If you do that, you're probably going to have some success.
Yeah, and there's no magic bullet, obviously. I think it's what you were searching for there through all your different descriptions of.
No, I never said magic bullet. I don't like to bring conspiracies into it. I'm not into that.
Jesus.
No, I'm not talking about bending it like Angelina Jolie. I'm talking
No,
about
JFK magic bullet theory. That's the whole thing.
I thought the magic bullet theory was like something just happens. But I might be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be.
Yeah, it was JFK because of the angle of the supposed shooter.
Well, what's the angle? Literally, were they on the grassy knoll or not? I mean, that is really what people have to talk. But yeah, like punters will ask me, "Hey, when did you take your next step or whatever?" I was like, "Oh, when I decided just to do this onto my bed at night, like 2,000 times a night, just like dropping the ball flat, and just how boring is just do this for like an hour every single night, and then when you wake up, do some more of those, and then get on the jugs machine, just catch like 100 balls a day to make your hands better, and then I think it'll inevitably happen.